Welcome to Joy in Our Town. I'm your host, Vanessa Rose. Thank you so much for tuning in to join us for another great edition today. Today we are joined by Gary Edmonds, and he is the CEO and president of Food for the Hungry. This is an international organization that was founded in 1971, and the headquarters are right here in our beautiful Valley of the Sun in Phoenix. They serve over 20 countries and over 2,700 communities worldwide. Please enjoy this video to see all the wonderful work that they're doing around the world.
The road to ending poverty is long and challenging. The world is hungry, but the emptiness goes far beyond the table. The need is both physical and spiritual. People are hungry for opportunity, starved for resources, and stripped of value. It's not okay that children die every day from hunger-related causes. It's not okay that 12-year-old girls are forced into marriages because their families can't afford to care for them any longer. It's not okay that disasters, wars, and social injustices keep people from access to clean water. And it's not okay for us to do nothing. And yet, hope remains. For over 4 decades, Food for the Hungry has been going to the hardest places, tackling the world's most challenging problems. They seek to end all forms of human poverty by going into the hard places and closely walking with the world's most vulnerable people. Food for the Hungry explores the tough questions, which pushes them to go past comfort and complacency. Driven by their Christian faith, FH believes that the vulnerable should not just exist, they should thrive. Food for the Hungry actively partners with churches, leaders, and families to usher justice and renew communities, so God's purpose is revealed in every person they serve. FH is committed to seeing change. They work, they feed, they teach, they love, but they know when it's time to leave. Working closely with communities to develop an exit plan, they empower children, families, and communities to invest in their own development. Food for the Hungry's purpose is to reach the hungry, the forgotten, the hopeless, all those trampled on by unimaginable hardships. Their destination is a world without poverty. Food for the Hungry is deeply committed to the advancement of communities through education, like in Kalacha Nomadic Girls School in rural Kenya. Here, many girls are supported through child sponsorship to gain essential skills and a brighter future. Education is an essential step in the long-term stabilization and success of the communities they serve. But it doesn't stop there. Education is more than just providing schooling. It's giving farmers new practices, teaching adults good health care, and giving women skills training to better care for their families. In the Congo, a reclaimed swamp is helping to provide livelihoods for many families. FH believes that the communities own their transformations, and they help them to use their resources and gifts in the best way possible. They help them develop leaders and often partner with local organizations and governments to improve the living situation of the people in those communities. Where so much of the world still struggles for their basic needs, food, clean water, and healthcare, it's often children who suffer the most. In Bolivia, the Little Ones program is educating moms on how to provide the best nutrition to raise up healthy kids so that they can thrive. When disaster strikes, people living in poverty suffer the most. Their lack of resources and a devastating loss can be impossible to overcome. When a catastrophic typhoon swept the Philippines, Food for the Hungry was able to help the communities reestablish their lives by rebuilding homes, leaving the people there in better living conditions than before. But they don't stop with immediate intervention. Their aim is to work strategically to reduce the devastating impact of unforeseen and unpreventable disasters before they even occur. Today, Food for the Hungry works in more than 20 countries around the world. The staff, partners, and supporters are committed to seeing true transformation in the ending of both physical and spiritual hunger.
What an incredible overview video, and with the length, I think, comes to show how much work is actually being done by your incredible organization. Gary, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Give us just a little bit of a taste of what the mission and the statement is behind Food for the Hungry and what it is that you're doing.
You know, Food for the Hungry, we state it like this, that we exist where God has called, we respond in order to end all forms of human poverty. And so that means physical, that means spiritual, that means social poverty, but we're working in some of the hardest, most impoverished contexts around the globe. And that's why we're there, not to create dependencies, but to help people actually rise to a place where they can be self-sufficient, self-supporting, and thus graduate to lead their own development, to lead their own transformation.
How wonderful. And I think that's the word that we hear a lot is, you know, self-sustaining, sustainable communities, sustainable farming, all these things. That is something that as an organization you're truly implementing and trying to establish in different places around the world.
Truly, truly that. We're committed to that. Every year we track and monitor how many communities are we able to graduate this year to where they can stand on their own feet.
Wow, that is wonderful, because it said, give a man a fish and you feed him for the day, teach a man to fish, correct? That's what you're doing. You're teaching them to fish and to take care.
Give them the skills, give them a sense of hope, build relationships of trust, and then processes to lead their own transformation process.
So for someone sitting here in Arizona watching from their home in the Valley of the Sun, you know, we hear these things about making self-sustained communities. It might not mean the same if they've never had the opportunity to travel overseas or to see some of the conditions and some of the ways that the majority of the people in the world live today. Here in America, we're so blessed to live so differently than the rest of the world. One of the biggest topics that we've all heard about recently is refugees. We have a lot of displaced people right now. As a matter of fact, you said that it's a number higher than we've ever had.
Number higher. Right now, the estimate is 65 million people are displaced people around the globe, refugees.
Wow, 65 million people. That is a number that's astounding, and that is almost a little difficult to grasp your mind around, that 65 million people right now don't have a home, don't have a community, don't have an established grounds.
Right, and they're fleeing. They're fleeing from violence. They're fleeing from oppression, persecution of one form or another. They're looking just to try to find a place where they can establish a residence, raise a family, be able to educate their children in a healthy way.
And so where specifically are some of your outreaches right now to address and help these refugees? You know,
just first of all, I say that Food for the Hungry, that's a part of our history. But going back to 1971, we worked with Vietnamese refugees. Later, we worked with Cambodian refugees. Right now, we're in the context of Syria. We're in the Middle East working with, today the estimate was 6 million Syrian refugees who have fled ISIS and other kind of terrorist groups, and so we're working there in the context of the Middle East with Syrian refugees. We're working in Uganda, South Sudan, Kenya, often addressing those who are fleeing extreme poverty, drought, and also civil war in the context of South Sudan. Those are two primary places.
Wow, and it's something that do you have an opportunity to ever travel and educate people here, even in our own United States, that maybe can't quite grasp what these people are actually experiencing?
Oh, we do. You know, many people here, you know, no fault of their own. They're simply just naive. They can't
Yes.
grasp it. They don't know what the situation is like. What are the hardships? What are the difficulties for these people? And so that's a major part of what we're trying to do, is to both advocate and be able to speak to the people here, to speak to churches, to help them to understand what are the realities around the globe. What are the hardships and the trials people are living under. Just got back yesterday from, or on the weekend, where we had a team of people in northern Kenya, and they were overseeing a field of like 1 million people who had fled and simply just trying to find shelter, trying to figure out how to have enough food to feed their kids, figuring out how to educate their children in the coming months so that their kids don't become radicalized in that kind of a hardship environment.
Absolutely. And that's something we were speaking about before this program began, is that people don't realize that many times if you leave these people out in these violent communities, a lot of times there's a much larger chance of them becoming violent, becoming radicalized, where if they get a little bit of hope or restoration and the basic human necessities, you can actually avoid a lot of that happening.
So true. So true. You know, when I get to speak before different kind of audiences, I'm saying to that, I said, when people get desperate, they don't become docile. In fact, they become angry, they become frustrated, they often act out in maybe even inhumane ways. And so if you can come in and help stabilize their situation with food, with shelter, educational opportunities, even giving them skills to, in a refugee camp, provide for themselves, set up a job, then they settle down. They begin to live with a sense of hope, that there is a hope in a future.
Absolutely. And as believers, as Christians, I think that's one of our callings, correct? Is to love and to clothe and to be there for those people.
You know, when we go into those kind of environments, we are taking initiative right now. We're one of the only groups trying to do this, but we're monitoring levels of hope. So that if we go into a place and people are at kind of a zero rock bottom level on hope, we have interventions to try to raise their hope level, where they can begin to dream again, where the children have aspirations, where they come out with a mother that, you know, gives birth to a child, and that child, she can dream that the child, you know, can become a school teacher or a nurse or a businesswoman or an engineer or a doctor even. And,
wow.
and so we monitor hope. We think that that's a Christian calling that God wants to build into our lives.
You know, it's interesting. The last 4 shows that I did here were all about completely different subjects, but the one underlying thing that everyone addressed was hope. And I think that's so important for the human spirit and for resilience, is that we all need hope, and we all need to feel a reason and a purpose to be here. Everyone wants to feel as though they're needed and they have a purpose and they're not just existing. And so that is wonderful. One thing you mentioned is it's called Food for the Hungry, but it's not just about feeding. It's about feeding the mind and feeding the spirit and educating and all of those things. So this is also something you're doing with many of these refugees in different parts of the world.
So true, yes. We would say that we're intent on ending all forms of human poverty. And so, you know, the issues of poverty are more than simply food around a table,
yes.
but they're spiritual, they're social, there's this whole issue that we were just talking about of hope. And that's critical for people to rise to a place of dignity and self-sustainability.
That's true. Poverty of the spirit. If you have no hope, then you have no reason to continue living through desperation.
And that's right. Poverty is a place. It's a mindset. It's a heart issue, and it's not simply just a matter of a lack of material needs, but it's having the right kind of knowledge, the right kind of spirit. It's living with hope, like we said. It's being able to trust God as well.
As a matter of fact, in the Dominican Republic, you were doing this very same thing with an organization called Striking Out Poverty. So let's go ahead and take a watch of this video, and we will come back and discuss the details of this great organization.
Water is life's basic necessity. And it's also the primary need of the poorest communities in the most rural areas of the Dominican Republic. For the people of Camarón, a small village 40 miles northwest of Santo Domingo, the country's capital, the only water source was a hike up a mountain to the nearest river.
El viaje de venir a buscar el agua era aproximadamente 45 minutos ida y vuelta. Y había que subir hasta 3 y 4 veces al día a buscar cubeticas de agua. Y esa agua había que buscarla para bañarse, para cocinar y hasta para tomar.
Just as water is needed for survival, baseball is essential in bringing life, pride, and hope to this entire nation.
Como dice uno, béisbol is life. Aquí se respira béisbol. La gente no tiene tantos recursos, se está pobre y son una persona tan humilde y lo poco que tienen te brindan todo.
Growing up in the small, modest town of Villamella, Pittsburgh Pirates' Gregory Polanco is well aware of what the needs are. In January, along with Marlins second baseman Dee Gordon, Polanco visited 4 different villages, including Camarón.
Uno ayude a poquito y que ven, ¿sabes? No vamos uniendo más jugadores y eso, que esa es mi idea, atraer más compañeros que uno pueda ayudar a las comunidades así como el Camarón.
To be in the communities with these people, I didn't know they didn't have clean water. That was shocking to me. I just went with the kids by the river and threw rocks, and I wouldn't want them to drink that.
Gordon's first trip to the Dominican left a lasting impression. He's committed to providing Camarón with clean, drinking water.
I went to places I know I never would have seen without Food for Hungry. That made it all the more wow to see smiles on kids' faces, little girls coming up giving me hugs, little boys high-fiving me, playing baseball with me. It was amazing.
Gordon and Polanco are 2 of 40 Major League players who have partnered with Striking Out Poverty, a campaign launched by the organization Food for the Hungry, to raise nearly $1 million to help 9 of the poorest communities in the Dominican Republic.
Coming here and seeing baseball is such a huge part of the culture. You know, something that takes so much pride in. You just take for granted the baseball fields you grew up on.
The fields need to be worked on and made safer for them to play. And you need to understand that these kids are playing barefoot, most of them. I'm going to do my best to find a way to get these fields in great condition because baseball gives them hope.
In the last 5 months, Food for the Hungry has provided a water reservoir that reaches the homes of 40 families in Camarón.
Ahora no tenemos que pensar en agua para bañarnos, para cocinar. Es muy diferente la vida. Porque uno cuando venía con una cubeta, bajaba era, ya usted sabe, totalmente cansado, totalmente.
Desde el primer día que fui, yo le prometí a los muchachos en el estadio, le dije allá en el play, le dije, yo les aseguro que yo voy a volver aquí y voy a jugar de nuevo con ustedes.
Polanco kept his promise, and just 2 weeks later, returned with fellow major leaguers Starling Marte and Moises Sierra.
Tú podías reflejar en los rostros de los niños la felicidad y la gran persona que son.
These kids live and die for baseball. And to watch them wide-eyed, they know their stats, they know who they play for. And to see them where they play, standing on the same field they're playing, it's a miracle for them.
Ya que Dios me ha bendecido y me ha ayudado a estar a seguir hacia adelante, yo quiero devolverle al pueblo, a la República Dominicana, de lo que Dios me ha dado y de lo que me ha dado el béisbol también.
Well, I think we just saw some players there that if you're a fan of Major League Baseball, you probably recognized a few people.
Yes.
And so this is a wonderful program you're doing specifically in the Dominican Republic. So tell us in a little bit of detail about this Striking Out Poverty program.
Yeah, Striking Out Poverty is actually a partnership between Food for the Hungry and Major League Baseball, or players of Major League Baseball. And we recognize that there are an awful lot of Dominicans. There are many from Latin America, the Caribbean, like you said, and they want to give back. And so we have been working and operating in Dominican Republic for quite a number of years. So Striking Out Poverty, 9 innings like a baseball game, and that will take us into 9 different communities. We'll actually take players over there, many of them Dominicans, who will go and work in one of these communities. They'll help to develop a baseball school or camp, a community center, often address issues such as education or water needs of a community. And so we're saying, how do we partner with those who are from that whole context to give back and to make a difference, to move these communities out of extreme poverty?
Wow. And so I bet these people coming back, now they're Major League Baseball players, you know, their life has changed.
Yep.
They might still have family members there, people they grew up with.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the hope and the excitement that maybe even some of these kids see that want to be baseball players. I mean, what does that do for these communities?
You know, the kids, I think about it just watching the kids as they encounter their heroes, and that's what it is. Here are people who've moved out, who've made it to the big time, made it to Major League Baseball, and the kids watch them come back, and they have an opportunity to actually interact with them. And I saw one most recently who was a 15-year-old who was pitching to a Major League Baseball player, and he struck him out. And so this kid,
wow.
Oh man, he was the hero. You know, he was the hero in the community. I struck out a major leaguer, and he was able to tell his friends that. But that gave them a sense of great joy, delight, and wonder. And then when the major leaguers talk, they'll give a testimony about their own Christian convictions. They talk about educational needs. They talk about being difference makers, being responsible in their own community. The kids go, wow, this is a lasting legacy. We're going to listen to what these people said to us. And so a real partnership, a real bond begins to take place, not only in the community, but for the players themselves. They realize that it's more than simply just their fame and notoriety, but they have an opportunity to be difference makers in their own country.
Absolutely, and many of them probably came from those same communities.
They did. Many of them came out of those same impoverished communities.
And so that's one thing that you're doing there is Striking Out Poverty, is that the food security issue, things of that, that's a major problem in the Dominican Republic. Can you tell us a little bit about the environment there that these people are living in?
You know, you've got, you cited their food insecurity.
Yes.
And so, you know, many of those children, young people, when they grow up in an environment where there's not adequate food, adequate nutrition, one of the things that occurs is malnutrition. Often then their very physical stature gets stunted. They don't grow, their brains don't develop normally. And the consequence of that is they don't have an ability to learn like normal young people would if they're getting proper nutrition. And so to be able to go in and help those communities, help their mothers, their fathers to grow the right kind of foods, to teach the mothers. We teach the mothers literally how to weigh and measure the children. Wow. To see to it that their children are being appropriately nurtured at the right kind of time. Help them create a diet that addresses all of the physical kind of needs. Now these children start to grow up and become healthy, and we watch their educational abilities soar, and then we see them living with a level of hope like they never lived before.
Wow, that is wonderful. And so that is so important, because I know that even here in our own community that's such a major problem with the food insecurity and with children. And
that's right.
You speak to any educator and they'll say whenever they have a child in their classroom whose stomach is grumbling, they're not going to learn. They're not going to be able to absorb and to expand their minds whenever they're hungry. And they don't know if whenever they get home there's going to be food. And so that is, that is truly that survival key, and it's so important.
Yeah, and we'll make a statement to say empty stomachs have no ears. In other words, you might try to teach them, train them, educate them, but if their stomachs are empty and they're grumbling and they're not healthy, then they can't learn. They can't listen even. You know, we'll work with the schools, we'll work with community leaders, we'll work with the mothers to help them have appropriate nutrition, help them have a meal, for example, at school. because many of them would be sent out in the morning with an inadequate breakfast, and then they go an entire day, and it's no wonder that they're not learning or keeping up to pace with their age group.
Absolutely. And lastly, here in Phoenix, you have different missions groups that go from Phoenix, groups of people. I'd like to know just a bit about that, and then also the C2C relationship, so that way people and churches can get involved here right in Phoenix.
You know what we say in all of this, as we work in more than 27 communities around the globe, highly impoverished communities, but we need partners. We need people. It's not going to just be us as an organization, and so we look for churches. We call it a C2C relationship or a C2C partnership, church to community, and so we'll connect with churches, we'll train them, we'll help build relational connections, and churches literally will come along and we'll connect them to a community whereby they'll walk with those communities for a 5, 6, 8 year period of time to help these communities rise. And we look at it from the standpoint of it's not only benefiting the communities where we're going and working, but we want the transformation to be end to end. We want to help the churches to be able to say, we're going to teach you about the world in new ways. We're going to help you develop relationships with people that many times don't look like you, nor have been given the opportunities like you. And we're going to deepen these kind of relationships. In the process, God begins to transform them here. And so we have numerous churches here in the Valley of the Somme, that actually have signed on to C2C partnerships, and they'll say, that's our community. We're going to develop that kind of a relationship and walk with that community for a long term.
And so then can they set up missions trips and things to actually go to these areas, and people from their congregation
that's what we
can
encourage
go?
them to do. We'll sign a memo of understanding, a memo of intent. We're going to introduce you to those relationships. We want you to set up trips 1, 2, 3 times a year to be sending people over there, even reciprocating, bringing some of the leaders of those communities to your own church or congregation here.
And so then how do people find out about becoming a part of that and volunteering or setting up a C2C or doing this to actually get involved?
They need to contact us. You'll find us on the web, Food for the Hungry. We've got a place there, church engagement, church partnerships. We have a team of people that actually resides right here in Phoenix. We've got others around the country, but we've got a church engagement team that would be happy to sit down and walk you through the process of how we can engage you as a church.
Okay, wonderful. And can individuals do it as well? Does it just have to be a church?
We do. No, with church, with individuals, what we've done as well, we have a fairly major child sponsorship. And so we help individuals come along. We right now are, we probably have people sponsoring about 110,000 children. And so, again, people will say, I want to sponsor a child, I want to build a relationship, and then these people will come along and literally go on a trip and meet their sponsored child, get to know the community. My wife just led a trip of women who are sponsoring numerous children in Guatemala most recently.
That is just wonderful. Well, Gary, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today and share some of the incredible work you're doing with Food for the Hungry. And it's such a blessing to know that right here in our own community is where this is based, and that we're reaching people all over the world. So thank you so much at home for watching. We always enjoy joining you every week in your home. We look forward to seeing you next week, and please make sure to go to the website to see how you can help feed people all over the world and do God's work. Have a good day.
This program has been sponsored by the Trinity Broadcasting Network, Post Office Box A, Santa Ana, California, 92711.